Hey, gang, DP here. We're going to spend this episode talking baseball, softball, and track and field.
You are Locked On Huskers, your daily podcast on the Nebraska Cornhuskers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, gang, DP here, Locked On Huskers. Thank you for making Locked On Huskers your first watch and listen each and every single day, even if it's later in the day. We appreciate you making time for us. I'm going to throw it back to Mark Anwar. I'll let him talk to you about Built Bar.
Thank you, DP. This episode of Locked On Huskers is brought to you by Built Bars. Now, if you're like me and you're trying to make healthier choices with your food, but you don't want to compromise on taste, you've got to try Built Bars and Built Puffs. Seriously, they taste so good, you're not going to think they're good for you, but they are. They've got incredible flavors like cookies and cream, peanut butter brownie, my favorite, churro, and I got to be honest, I'm not entirely sure how Built does it. The macros on them, incredible. Only 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, and 17 grams of protein. And now, you don't even have to wait to get a box. In the past, you've always been able to order them from Built.com. Now, if you're near a Sam's Club or a Walmart, and chances are you are, you can just hop in there, go over to the pharmacy section, grab yourself a box of 4 of them in flavors like cookies and cream, double chocolate, or coconut puff. Or, like always, get all of the flavors over at Built.com. Check them out, Built Bars and Built Puffs, right now at Built.com. DP, back to you.
Thanks, Mark. Welcome back. Again, we want to thank you for making Locked On Huskers your first watch and listen each and every single day. Please subscribe. If you have not, subscribe, hit the like button, share this content, let folks know. We're in that sort of season where we get the freedom to bring you some other conversations about other Husker programs. And quite frankly, right now, Nebraska Athletics is having a time. We will later in the show talk about track and field and just record-breaking performances at the Big Ten Conference Tournament for the track team, and we will track them throughout the course of the rest of the Big Ten Tournament and NCAAs, because a lot of them have qualified and will move on as well in that space. But we'll start with softball, because Rhonda Rovell and this Husker team, the reigning defending, or they were the reigning defending Big Ten champions, and there was tons of expectation going into the season. I wouldn't call it burdensome, but yeah, you're carrying some additional weight in trying to defend the standards that has recently been set for this ball club. And there's so much talent on this team, but I wanted to start with the management and talking about the job that's being done by Rhonda Rovell and the staff. And in managing personalities and in managing new players in important positions, because when you lose a starting pitcher as well from a year ago, but you're returning an all Big Ten caliber player at every position, and even with having reserves that could fill in and step up and produce for you. This is a rock solid Nebraska softball team, and they're fun to watch, and because they play aggressively, they play intelligently. Here are a few of the things that have been in play. One, it starts with Courtney Wallace, and for her to just lock herself in and handle the bulk of work that's required of a Big Ten pitcher. Listen, to appear in 44 games in the course of a season, her ERA is 3.45, but where you get is that there were 20 complete games. 20 complete games. She's also closed 3 games. 200 plus innings again, 200 plus innings for Courtney Wallace on the hill, and to be plus in strikes and to be limiting in facing 812 hitters in the course of the season. Look, Courtney Wallace was important. The grind was there, but let's also point to Sarah Harness and say job well done. because she ate up a ton of innings, a ton of starts. 10-5 record. Courtney Wallace was 23-14. Sarah Harness was 10-5. And through all of their season, being able to rely on and count on these two pitchers to do the bulk of the heavy lifting and to get them through a season and to be good teammates for each other and being open to changing roles given the situation. Look, it's exceptional work. It's exceptional work. Now, defensively, I think this team is still underrated because they don't put it back on the dirt. They don't throw the ball around. They don't do those sorts of things. So then it becomes a matter of offense. And I want to go through the full roster because the regular rotation, and starts with Caitlin Caneda, who in getting an all Big Ten year, sometimes a matter of respect has to come later. And to come in with some names, I mean, she's playing in the middle of the field with Billie Andrews, who is playing at All-American caliber level and has for the last several years. That any year other than All-American was a step down for the projection for Billie Andrews. And you have to say she had an incredible year. But Caitlin led the team in hitting, hit 373. But being steady defensively up the middle. And even in softball, as much as baseball, you talk about you're only as good as you are up the middle. Well, up the middle, Caitlin and Billie handled their business, not only offensively, but defensively as well. Putting up numbers, both of them hitting above 350. Of course, Billie leading the team with 15 home runs. Caitlin was actually second in runs driven in. So to be solid up the middle with Courtney, with Ava Bredwell behind the plate, Brooke Andrews up the middle. Look, the numbers are crazy when you look through, and to say they did a better job this year putting the ball in play. They ran the bases with high efficiency, high effectiveness, and you haven't even brought up Caitlin Neal or Maya Felder, who again, Maya's all Big Ten defensively, but she's a force in the middle of the lineup. Now, I would bet that if you asked Maya, she would say she wanted better production offensively, but she was plus 300, double figures in doubles, had 53 base hits for the course of the year. Brooke Andrews, I don't think we could be surprised by her leading the team in RBI, being second in home runs, because she's just put in the work. But Sydney Gray and her work, now she would say from an average standpoint that she didn't get done what she wanted to get done. And same for Abby Squire. But production and big-time hits in big-time situations, both of them over 20 RBI for the course of the season. So as they head into regionals, not satisfied with not being able to get over the hump against Northwestern and a rock-solid Northwestern team, but if you're looking at the regional and you get to face some different folks, I don't think Nebraska is a name that anybody wants to see in their bracket. It's just not. Rock solid pitching, depth of pitching, some flexibility and versatility offensively, and then rock solid defensively. I think the Huskers are going to have the opportunity to make a pretty good run in the regionals. And of course, that announcement will come up, and then we will hand that information to you as soon as we know it. We'll throw it to break there. And when we come back to Locked On Huskers, I want to flip the script, go to the other field at Haymarket Park, and we're going to talk about the Husker baseball team and the late run that they put on, putting themselves in a situation where they have qualified for the Big Ten tournament. We'll talk more about that when we come back. Hey, gang, DP here. And again, thank you for making Locked On Huskers your first watch and listen each and every single day. Thank you for your everyday folks, you folks who get the content, you subscribe. It comes to you. You've been active in the comment section. Thank you. Feel free to put your comments down there, suggestions, things that you want me to talk about in future episodes. I'm open to those conversations. We're looking forward to that. Much appreciated for your spending time with me each and every single day. We talked about softball, and we will talk about track and field, but I want to talk about the Nebraska baseball team because through all of what's gone on in Nebraska and Nebraska athletics, a big part of what's happened is frustration over production, bottom line numbers, losing out of non-con games, not exactly having the kind of success that they want in some rivalries, especially local rivalries. But let's not miss this. This is a team that's found a late groove when they need it, headed towards 30 wins, big sweep over Penn State, which helps. And then the possibility that not only can they, have they clinched their spot in the Big Ten tournament, but they could end up in the top four, top three if they go and handle their business against Purdue. And let's be clear, Nebraska has a little salt in the wound when it comes to Purdue baseball, because last year there was an opportunity for Nebraska to finish its season in a good place and a good note. But Purdue rained on the parade and eliminated Nebraska from its postseason potential. Well, this Husker baseball team gets to travel to Purdue this weekend for a regular season ending series, and Purdue, who are fighting for their own Big Ten postseason life. I would think that Will Bolt, Lance Harvell and company would find a little joy in shutting down Purdue's season. The easiest way to do that is for Nebraska to go and sweep Purdue. Nebraska does that. They currently stand at 13-8. This would put them at 16-8, and this would put them in dead full form of the top half of the Big Ten tournament, and allows them to face, somebody they would prefer to. Now, Big Ten playoffs, the tournament is going to be all about matchups. And so, the fact that it's in Omaha, there's some advantage for Nebraska, but everybody else travels well to Omaha. It's easy to get to. It's a great park, and they've become comfortable there. But there would be a huge advantage. Let's be clear, a huge advantage if Nebraska gets on a roll and gets a higher seed and plays in Omaha. Look, they're 13-8. The top two seats currently are both 15-6. Indiana and Maryland are sitting at 15-6 to Maryland to Nebraska's 13-8. Iowa is 13-7. Rutgers 13-8. Michigan 12-8. Illinois at 12-12. Michigan State, Purdue both at 10-11. So this is a meaningful week for meaningful baseball, and Nebraska has guaranteed itself an opportunity to not only play in the postseason, but to have some postseason success. And I don't think that Nebraska has reached its apex in playing this season. I don't think anybody that looks at Nebraska's roster could be surprised if they went on a roll. Now, Indiana's on a 7-game win streak. That's why they sit at the top of the Big Ten with Maryland. The teams that are playing well, Nebraska's on a 4-game win streak. Iowa's on a 3-game win streak. All of the teams in the top 6 positions are on a win streak. The only other team that's hotter now is Ohio State. Ohio State's won 6 in a row. They started 0-15 in the Big Ten season. But they can't catch up, and they won't get to play in the postseason, but they get to ruin and have some spoiler fun. But this is a big week in Big Ten baseball. and setting up for the NCAA opportunities. But we're burying the lead when it comes to Nebraska baseball because they are having what could be identified as the greatest offensive duo season in history. Listen, as they go into the final series, Max Anderson will go into Purdue hitting 409. 409. 65 RBI. 65 RBI in 50 games started. Those are some incredible numbers. 19 home runs, 2 doubles, 2 triples, 18 doubles, and 88 hits in 50 games. 88 for 215. He scored 46 runs. 167 total bases for the season. Slugging percentage of .777. Those are remarkable numbers. And look, you don't want to dampen the parade with rain, but this is probably the final year for Max Anderson. He's probably, with those sorts of numbers, he's probably going to put himself into the draft, and we can picture him somewhere in the top 5 rounds, in the top 150 picks. I think that's kind of where the slate would have him. But this is exceptional. This is an exceptional season, and if you put that unto itself and say that, wow, Max Anderson had a year for history. Well, I'm not sure that he's had the best season on his own team. I'm not sure who's had the better season, quite frankly, because Bryce Matthews is hitting 380, and while that's not 409, that 400 number is a magical number. But he's hitting 380 with 20 home runs and 60 RBI. 73 hits in 50 games. Here's a number that'll spin your head. He scored 61 runs in 50 games in the Big Ten Conference and 192 official at-bats. I just want to say this again. 61 runs scored in 192 official at-bats. That's insanity. And then he's doing it on a team with Max Anderson hitting 409 with 18 homers, 19 homers and 65 RBI. Bryce Matthews had 11 doubles, 2 triples, 20 home runs, 65 RBI, 148 total bases. His slugging percentage, while it's not the massive 777 to Max Anderson, it's 771. These are Triple Crown numbers, no matter what level you're playing at, and no matter what position you play while you're doing it. Oh, by the way, he's 1 steal away from having a 2020 season, on top of the 380, 65 RBI season. Now, some will say, he's had some defensive issues, but look, shortstop, they're solid up the middle with Max and Bryce up the middle. Just exceptional. But they haven't been alone. And as they start to build up their pitching staff again, look, we're going to have some interesting conversations about Nebraska baseball. Big Ten tournament. They've clinched that they'll be in the tournament. They're getting 300 seasons from Cole Evans, Gabe Swanson, and Casey Burnham. Charlie Fisher's right below that, but Charlie Fisher's put up, 4 bombs, 30 RBIs, 55 total bases. Look, they're getting the work done. And the pitching staff, Nebraska's figured out that late in games, they're pretty successful. If they're leading in the 7th inning, they're 26 and 3 now. Nebraska has an opportunity that they can move themselves to the top half of the Big 8 conference by finishing well against Purdue. We will get a more clear identifier for who Nebraska baseball is by how they play against Purdue, how they finish against Purdue. They've clinched. Do they loosen up? Do they lighten up? Or do they put the pedal to the metal and stomp Purdue out and put themselves in the top half of the Big Ten Conference heading into the tournament? We'll find that out next week. Lots to talk about. And we'll talk more baseball this week for sure. Absolutely, for sure. We'll throw it a break here. We will talk about a group that deserves conversation because at the time of this recording, both the men's and women's track teams were number 1 in the Big Ten Conference. Wow. We'll talk Husker track and field when we come back to Locked On Huskers. Welcome back to Locked On Huskers. And once again, thank you for making Locked On Huskers your first watch and listen each and every single day. Current update, and we'll share the news that the men's track team for the University of Nebraska has won the Big Ten Conference Championship. That's exceptional news, and kudos. This is exceptional. Nebraska men finished first ahead of Minnesota and Iowa. The women finished third behind Michigan and Ohio State. But there were championships all over the place. Darius Love won in the hurdles today. Latavia Brown is Big Ten champion in triple jump. Jenna Rogers was the Big Ten champion in the women's high jump at just over 6 feet. Luff has been just exceptional all throughout his career. Maxwell Otterdahl, of course, winning the men's distance, and one of our favorites, and we're not supposed to have favorites, but we do. But Axelina Johansson let me give the full shout out. This was not just a great performance. This was an all-time performance at the Big Ten tournament. She won the women's shot put and swept both the indoor and the outdoor titles. 5 of her 6 throws made over the course of this meet would have won the gold medal. 5 of the 6. But in her final attempt, she threw it 64.1 and a quarter. That stamped her name in the record books. Her mark is a Nebraska school record. It is a Swedish national record and the top mark in the NCAA this season. Number 2 throw in NCAA outdoor history and the number 2 throw in the world in 2023. So Axelina Johansson, we applaud you. We shout you out. Job well done. Huskers track and field. There you are, showing out. You bring back a Big Ten title for the men and a rock-solid performance for the women. Looking forward to see how this plays out at the NCAAs because you've earned it. Because you've earned it. Due to that, we'll finish this episode of Locked On Huskers with the 3 words that should be shouted from the rafters for this track team, the baseball team, and the softball team. Go Big Red.